Hello everyone. Today is a very interesting video because I'm going to be making my very first tier list video. And this is going to be an interesting tier list because we're going to be talking about Plants vs. Zombies. But not just any Plants vs. Zombies. We're looking at Plants vs. Zombies 2 Chinese. So that means we're not going to be talking about any of the plants up here. Oh, no. We all know what these guys do. We're going to be talking about the ones down here, the more interesting subject. I'm going to be talking about world plants right now. So basically plants that come from the worlds of 2C, or are associated with the worlds of 2C. So that means all of these premium plants down here, they're not all going to be ranked, because A, I don't know what most of them do, and B, I don't have enough footage of them, and finally C, they're not usually that interesting to talk about. There will be a few exceptions if I think they're interesting enough, but until then, we're going to be ranking these plants, and they are as follows: Resistant Radish, Fire Gourd, Heavenly Peach, Bamboo Shoot, Oak Archer, Coffee Bean, Planturn, Acidic Lemon, Lotus Pod, Rafflesia, Whirlwind Acorn, Loquat, Asparagus, Saucer Squash, Horse Bean, Ground Cherry, Anthurium, Spin Apple, Jackfruit, DJ Morning Glory, Primal Rafflesia, Dino Roar Grass, Timid Thorns, Sugarcane Master, Flat Shroom, Lotus Root, Vanilla, Maypop Mechanic, Lily of the Alchemy, Berry Blaster, Aloe, Kerchicanon, Wax Gourd, Olive Oil, Ruby Red, these guys whose names I literally cannot pronounce. I'm sorry, I'm not even gonna try to attempt that. Mad Hatter, Spring Bean, Bamboo Soldier, Pumpkin Witch, and finally, Icy Current. I might get to the other ones some later date, but for now, these are the ones we're going over. This is going to be a long one, folks, so sit tight. We'll start with the Resistant Radish. And I'm just going to say it right now, all of the footage is from Flag Zombie. I have played 2C before, so I have got experience with most of these plants. However, I cannot show you any of my footage because I don't want to get in trouble. So I'll show Flag Zombies footage, which, by the way, props to them. They are an amazing creator and who inspired this list. It's thanks to them that I even know that there's a Chinese version to begin with. So what does Resistant Radish do? Well, essentially, he's a worse walnut, whose whole gimmick is to stop the culling mechanic in this world. You see, some zombies have a pulling mechanic that will yank plants backwards onto the lawn, and this radish stops them. And that's quite literally it. You know, for one of the earliest plants you unlock in the Kung Fu world, he's actually not that interesting to talk about. Also, I am aware of leveling in this game, which is actually way more important in this game than it ever was in Plants vs. Zombies 2 International. But, well, I want to rank these plants from level 1 and level 5. Because level 1 is how I feel like the plant should be used most of the time and how most people are going to use it. And level 5 is the most extreme variation. The only exception, of course, being if the plant doesn't have a level 5, in which case I'll look to the next highest level. But yeah, Resistant Radish only changes one way. He gains an extremely weak basic attack right here, and it's extremely weak. So with all of that in mind, Resistant Radish is fine, but ultimately not a really cool plant. So I'm just gonna put him in meh. Up next, we have Fire Gourd, or as I like to call him, Discount Jack-o'-lantern. This is actually the very first Chinese exclusive plant you're likely to unlock, as he is the very first one from the Kung Fu world. And yeah, he's pretty good. He shoots out a stream of fire after you tap him manually, but then needs a few seconds to recharge. You can tap him again before then, but it's not as strong. He has a plant food that gives him some stronger fire. Give him a costume as well, and his plant food will change. I forgot to mention that, but costumes in this game will actually change your plant's plant food. But yeah, again, not much to say about this guy, but I like him. He is not really that... There's not much to talk about, but I just think he's a cool plant. And I wish he was in the main game, honestly. He technically already is in the form of Jack-o'-lantern, which I might add, Jack-o'-lantern wasn't even in the Chinese version when the Kung Fu world was released. So technically, this guy did it first. He was added in a later update, but yeah. There isn't much to say on the leveling side either. It just increases his damage. So, with that in mind, Fire Gourd is a really good idea, with a pretty good execution, and I really wish he was in the main game, but I'm not quite sure if he is the best plant. Until then, I'm gonna give him the wish he was in international tier. Up next, we have Bamboo Shoot. If you're new to PVZ 2, this may not sound too bad, but if you've been around the block, you'll know that there are a lot of plants claiming to be Bamboo Shoot. This is one of the earliest ones, but still, there are a lot of bamboo plants. Bamboo Shoot basically just spews out things at the zombies. You want me to explain what a Bamboo Shoot is? He's just a weaker spike weed. You want proof? Watch this. Yep. It takes out Pianist Zombie and Barrel Roller Zombie, but it kills him alongside. So, he's just spike weed. Again. So, yeah. I know he's got leveling. I know he's got a cool plant food. And I know his costume's really good, because it causes zombies and plants to go flying, but even with all of that in mind, Bamboo Shoot kinda sucks, to be honest. He's not even that good in concept, because he's literally just spikeweed again. So I'm just gonna put him in the bad tier. Our final plant from the Kung Fu world is a very unique one. It's a healer plant named Heavenly Peach. First off, S tier design, she looks adorable. But, in all honesty, there are much better healing plants in this game. Much better. So I'm just gonna have to say she's kind of meh, to be honest. However, her plant food does make all plants around her invincible for a short period of time, so there you go, I guess. With leveling, they become much stronger and will actually increase the plant's attack speed. But even so, she's still kind of meh. Also, there's your invincibility. Heavenly Peach is a great idea with an okay execution. Basically, the definition of meh. The definition. Next up is Plantern, returning from PVZ1. Plantern is not much to write home about in this game, although he does gain one new power. You see, there's a new zombie type in this game called the bandit zombie. What he's supposed to do is turn invisible after drinking a Minecraft potion of invisibility, but Planturn is able to reveal him. Give him plant food and he's able to reveal the entire board. Plant food with his hat, he gains the ability to stun. Aside, Planturn's just kind of but even with that in mind, I still think it makes sense for him to be because, well, he was just kind of in Plants vs. Zombies 1, and there wasn't much of a reason to return. Still though, I gotta say, love his redesign. Planturn is great, and if we were ranking in terms of representation of the old games, Planturn would be up there. But since we're ranking on how good they are in terms of the game itself, I can think of no better spot than the bottom of meh. Another fan favorite from Plants vs. Zombies 1, it's Coffee Bean. Coffee Bean actually works a little differently this time around. He wakes up plants in a 3x3 area instead of a 1x1 area. Also, Coffee Bean has wings, so that's cool, I guess. Fun fact, Coffee Bean was gonna have wings in Plants vs. Zombies 1, but that got scrapped. So, wings in mind, look, Coffee Bean was made to counter one gimmick in this game, that being the Archmage zombie. But Coffee Bean is just kind of whatever in this game. I'm sorry to say it, but as cool as it is to have Coffee Bean return, since the mushroom plants are no longer put to sleep, there's really no reason for him to. They had to make up a reason on the fly. With that in mind, Coffee Bean has great ideas going for him. He even has the ability to speed up attacks. But he's going in bad nonetheless because that speed up attack is not good enough. And there are plenty of other plants that do it better. Next up we have the Oak Archer. Oak Archer is just a glorified pea shooter that takes a little bit longer to arm. Heck, even Flag Zombie is a little disappointed at this guy. I would say he's bad tier mainly because of this reason, but he is saved for one reason. His plant food is actually unique. When fed plant food, he will rain arrows across the entire lawn, like so. And honestly, this saves him. They deal a lot of damage, and I mean a lot of damage. Leveling also makes this plant really good, as it makes him fire multiple arrows at once. So, if you have enough saved up, this guy is not too bad. But if you don't, he's literally just pea shooter. There's nothing more to say. Oak Archer is saved from being meh tier and bad tier because of his plant food. So he's going in strange but good. However, I'm not sure if he really deserves it. It's Big Wave Beach now, and we're gonna talk about the acidic lemon. Originally known as the acidic citrus, acidic lemon is basically just a normal pea shooter. But wait, there's one gimmick that makes him pretty special. He deals extra damage to armored zombies, specifically with metal armor. Level him up enough, and he will deal extra damage to all zombies, which kinda ruins the gimmick. But I like the idea of a plant that deals extra damage to armored zombies. I really like it. The idea of this guy is so gosh darn cool. And I also just love his face. Like, look at this face. Seriously. Look at it. My man has seen some things. But being honest, Acidic Lemon is kind of dragged down a little bit by his plant food, as it's literally just the same as Oak Archer's, except it damages everyone. And his costume is also one of the lamest in the game, because when his costume is fed plant food, and this is the funniest thing, it turns the water yellow and makes it acidic. Look, I know what the obvious joke is. Let's all be civil here. So, yeah. With all that said, Acidic Lemon is a character who I really want to see in the international version. Acidic Lemon, I feel like with just enough tweaks, could be the best plant from this game. A plant that maybe deals less damage to normal zombies, but more damage to armored zombies. That would be so cool. Next up is the Lotus Pod. Lotus Pod has a pretty interesting design, however kind of misleading. No, he doesn't have multiple shots, he just fires one at a time. And no, surprisingly, his shots don't deal splash damage. They don't even deal explosive damage. Honestly, when it comes to lobbers, this guy is pretty weak. But he's saved when he's planted in water. When planted in water, Lotus Pod will shoot out a missile that fires right down the lane, but this time it deals splash damage. Plant Food will fire a missile that also deals splash damage in an area in the water. So yeah, it's saved for that reason, but honestly with Lotus Pod, there's not much to say. He is the crown jewel of meh, but honestly, meh is as good as he's gonna get. I really feel like I should be placing him in bad. Next up is the Whirlwind Acorn. Whirlwind Acorn is a really good idea. Basically just being Bloomerang, but an acorn. An acorn who can just deal a lot of damage. There is not much to say about him, except for the fact that he's bald underneath his cap. Insert SpongeBob meme here. Wait, I wasn't supposed to say that, wait. Where he gets really interesting is with his plant food, because he just yucks himself down a lane, and it is just great. When fed plant food with his costume, he will create 2 extra tornadoes, which I just have to say, brilliant. I have absolutely no complaints about Whirlwind Acorn, other than the fact that he's a little too similar to Blover. The final plant for Frostbite Caves is Rafflesia. Rafflesia is a plant that I have wanted to see for a while. Rafflesia is a Rafflesia, also known as a corpse flower, which makes a disgusting smell to attract flies. So obviously his power is to blow bubbles, obviously. But that's not even the worst part of Rafflesia. The worst part of Rafflesia is he only attacks the last zombie in the lane. Look man, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was not a big fan of Boomberry when he released. So when I learned that China did it first, I was a little bit disappointed. But then I learned that not only did China do it first, but I also learned they did it worst. Because look how slow Rafflesia is. At least Boomberry is instantaneous and you can use him as a support. Rafflesia is so gosh darn slow. Look how long his plant food takes to fire. At that point, it's not even worth it. And you know what the worst part is? This guy does have leveling and it does make him better. But if it takes leveling to make a plant even remotely good, then I'm sorry, but this is the easiest bad tier that ever bad. Way to let down such a cool concept. On to our next Chinese exclusive world, Sky City. And our first planet of this area is Loquat. Loquat spins in a circle and deals damage to the zombies while also stunning them. Trust me, this girl is really good. The only weird thing about her is the fact that she can't hurt zombies outside of Sky City, which is bizarre, but she can still stun them, which is good. And is a great way to get jalapeno strats to work, as well as squash strats. This is the part where I would bring up her leveling, but the funny thing is, it's not that she doesn't have leveling, it's the fact that nobody knows what it does, so I can't actually tell you anything about it. Loquat is strange but good. Not much to say. Next up is Anthurium. I really hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Anthurium is a very interesting plant because alone it's just a worse pea shooter. But when paired with Sky City's gimmick, it becomes a really cool plant. You see, the whole thing is that Anthurium is able to take the charges from plants given to them by lightning and turn it into a bigger ball of electricity for them to attack with. Not bad, I must say. Whereas plant food, they just strike 3 random zombies with electricity. Not really that spectacular, but it doesn't need to be. It does exactly what it needs to. So, with that in mind, Anthurium is an easy tier. I'm gonna get one out of the way right now. Ground Cherry. I'll tell you what Ground Cherry does. It's plant turn again, but this time can't be eaten. Moving on. Okay. Spin Apple is also really easy, because he's literally just a flying walnut. There is nothing more to say about him. Come on, PVZ, you're better than this. Finally, some good food. We have the Saucer Squash. Saucer Squash gets points alone for being adorable. Like, seriously, look at those cute little eyes. How could you not love this little thing? But that's not all they do. When they shine their lights upon a zombie, they get stunned. And it's not a short little stun either. No, it lasts for a little bit. And while it's not the best plant to use in certain situations, it can actually be used upon reaction, and is one of the few plants where you can actually correct your mistakes with on the fly, making this little thing a really flexible plant. Give it plant food and it stuns the entire screen. Give it some leveling and it outright abducts zombies of lower levels. It is actually really good. Maybe it doesn't deserve this, but I'm placing Saucer Squash in the amazing tier. Not quite wish it was international tier, but still amazing nonetheless. Or should I say beans? Because there's 3 of them. Horse Bean flies out, fires 3 peas at 3 zombies, flies back in, and has an insanely long recharge. Level them up, they shoot 4 peas. Level them up further, they shoot lasers. Why? I don't know. Give them plant food, they recharge faster and fire more peas. Which, fun fact, I should mention, the pod is vulnerable during plant food. Yes, you heard me correctly. The plant is still vulnerable when using plant food. That is so incredibly cursed, I can't even explain it. So, yeah. here's some proof of that. That just feels so wrong. Another plant for the amazing tier. Next up is asparagus. Asparagus fires in 3 lanes. The lane right in front of it, the lane right below it, and the lane right on top of it. It flies above the water too. It's the complete package. Asparagus is not a very good main attacker, but he is a great secondary attacker. He also has a short cooldown, so he's not overpowered. All in all, this guy is just good. There's not much more to say. This may be controversial, but I'm gonna put asparagus in the Wish It Was International tier, as well as saucer squash. The weirdest looking plant of all time. Jackfruit. What is this guy on? Look at this thing. This guy doesn't look official, but weird looks aside, he's a rolling walnut whose main gimmick is to block off entrances created by the Lost Guide zombie. As a secondary power, he also can drop seeds which act like mini walnuts. Not much to say on this guy, other than his design is... I don't even know what to say about his design. I don't know what to say about jackfruit. Jackfruit is a very fine plant. Strange, but good. I'm definitely putting emphasis on the strange though, because look at him. Next plant is DJ Morning Glory. DJ Morning Glory fires sound waves. That's kind of it, but he does have one more gimmick. When hit with a sound wave himself, he absorbs that shockwave and brings it right back to the zombies. Yeah, the animation is kind of bad, but still, I love this guy's idea. For a plant food, he fires a barrier that pushes zombies right back where they started. Give him a costume and he fires an even bigger one. When leveled up, this is where things get interesting. He will give all adjacent Morning Glories a bit of a boost, and this stacks per level. So, you've got some pretty mean attack power. This is probably the plant's least deserving of this placement, but I have to put it in Wish It Was in International, only because Neon Mixtape Tour is notorious for introducing terrible plants. So we need at least one good one. Oh, would you look at that? Another worse walnut. Okay, I'm gonna rapid fire through most of these because honestly, some of them aren't even worth mentioning, or are worth mentioning but need stuff for themselves. Dino Roargrass, Better Chomper, amazing tier. Sugarcane Master, does not deserve to be a legendary. Still pretty good though. Primal Rafflesia. Now this is how you do a Rafflesia plant. Wish It Was International though. Oil Olive, boosts fire plants. Amazing. Aloe. Why is it so good in the Chinese version? I wish this was the aloe we got. Flat Shroom and Lotus Pod. I'm gonna put one in Strange but Good due to the sucking up smoke mechanic, and one in the meh category because of the sewer mechanic. Maypop mechanic. Honestly, not much you can do with that. Berry Blaster. Only good if you level him up. I'm sorry, but that's not legendary. Turka Cannon. Meh. Back scored. Worst Tall Nut. Bleh. Ruby Red. Only good when leveling again, but saved from being bottom. Vanilla. Honestly, not much to say. Lily of the Alchemy. Really interesting design wasted on China's mechanics. Still pretty cool though. Basically all of the plants from the Hyen age. Meh, all of you. Adder mushroom. Really meh, but fun fact, all of his attacks counted as fire attacks when he first released. Not much to say. Bamboo Soldier. Really good attacker, really interesting mechanic, but not quite one that I wish was in International. Spring Bean Princess. Weird name aside, yeah, she's strange, but she's good. Hint. Way too overpowered. Why was this guy ever allowed? He's a better tall nut who can heal himself. Amazing, needed for China, don't want him in International, that's just too powerful. Finally, for the lightning round, we have Icy Current. Current, just kind of whatever. But he's saved by his interesting backstory, because he was supposed to be in our version of the game but got scrapped. For unknown reasons. And now for the final plants. From least to most interesting, the first one is Gatling Pea, sporting a sick new redesign. Gatling Pea is a plant that I'm surprised we did not get in PVZ 2. Okay, we did, but that was Mega Gatling Pea. That's a different plant. Gatling Pea is fine. He's just Gatling Pea, and he works well in this game. His plant food is a little crazy though, as this happens. Need I say more? Gatling Pea gets an easy, amazing tier, but he's not in the international tier simply because we technically already have him. But it's not the same. Bonus plant, it's Cactail. Yep, Cactail's back, in this version of the game at least. And why does China get all the good stuff? Look, there are a lot of things that Cactail can do in this game, and Cactail is stupid busted in this game. And I must say that this is probably the worst redesign in Plants vs. Zombies 2. Why does he look like this? But let's all be real here. Homing Thistle can exist all he wants, but let's be honest. Cactail deserved to be an international. Our final and most interesting plant today is none other than the Pumpkin Witch. She's a ranged hypno shroom who turns zombies into jack-o'-lantern zombies. This is so cool and funny. And I highly suggest you watch Flag Zombie's video to learn all about this plant. But if you want my opinion on her, we already have a ranged hypno shroom who's actually slightly better. So I can't put her in international tier, but I can put her at the top of amazing. So, what do we learn from all of this? Well, not much, honestly. Other than China's got weird plans. Anyway, I have been the Gamer Nerd. And, until next time, Zai Jian, and thank you for watching. I really think I just butchered that.